Hey guys, this is Course 2, Lesson 5.1, and it's called Ratios. So title your paper, Ratios. Now, first I want you to write what a ratio is. A ratio is a comparison of two quantities by division. So really, you could write that a ratio is a fraction. It is two quantities divided by, or which represent division. So it's a fraction. Now, there are three ways to write ratios, and here are the examples. So write these in your notes. 5 to 7. So when you hear like sports, like a record, your basketball record, you have 5 wins, 7 losses. If you divided that, that would tell you what your winning percentage is. Or baseball players, how they have the hitting percentage. They do it like that. Every 5 chances he got, he hit the ball out of 7 total chances. So that's number 1. Number 2 is it's 5 to 7, but they use a colon. So that little dot dot is another way to represent it. And then 5 divided by 7 is the third way. So make sure you have all 3 of those in your notes. Now, here's an example. There are 7 red stripes and 6 white stripes on the flag of the United States. Write the ratio of red stripes to white stripes in 3 ways. So write that and push pause, and then we'll go over it. All right, so there are 3 different ways to write this. First, I can write 7 to 6. You're always going to start with the first number that is said, and then the second number comes second. I can write 7 dot dot 6, or I can write 7 divided by 6 as a fraction. So those are the 3 ways. Pretty simple. All right, another ratio problem. So count the number of girls in the class. Count the number of boys in the class. What is the ratio of boys to girls? What is the ratio of girls to boys? And what is the ratio of boys to the total students in class? So when you're doing this problem, include the teacher. So if you can see, here is a girl, here is a girl, here is a girl. And then this is a girl also. And then the rest are boys. So try these 5 problems, push pause, and then we'll go over it. Okay, so count the number of girls in the class. So there are 4 girls in the class. Count the number of boys. So he's a boy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's 7 boys. What is the ratio of boys to girls? So I would not write 4 to 7 because that would be girls to boys. They want the boys' number first. So the boys' number goes first to the girls' number, which is 4. So if I wrote it 3 different ways, you could write it this way, you could write it this way, or you can write it this way. If you wrote 4 to 7, though, you're wrong. It's completely wrong. What's the ratio of girls to boys? So girls goes first, which is 4. To boys, which is 7. So you could have 4 to 7, 4 dot dot 7, or 4 divided by 7. What is the ratio of boys to total students? Now, boys to total students, so I look at my number of boys, which is 7, and then I write the total, which is 11. So it's 7 to 11, 7 dot dot 11, or 7 divided by 11. This is the one that most people use because they divide it and then they figure out the percentage. And they would say, oh, I have 65% boys in my class. Okay, so equivalent ratios. Writing equivalent ratios is the same as writing equivalent fractions. So you do not need to write all of this down. Here's what I want you to write. So, find a ratio equivalent to 4/5. Write that in your notes. So you'd have 4/5, and then you would write 8/10. tenths. Those are equivalent ratios. So I could do that, or if I said write the ratio 2 yards to 20 feet as a fraction in simplest form, you would write 2 yards over 20 feet equals, and then I would divide by 2, which equals 1 yard to 10 feet. So those are two different examples of writing equivalent ratios. Okay, so try these on your own. Find an equivalent ratio to 7 to 9, and then write the ratio 3 gallons to 10 quarts as a fraction in simplest form. Note, 1 gallon equals 4 quarts. So before you write this 3 gallons, you need to change it to quarts first. All right, so try those, push pause, and then we'll go over. All right, an equivalent ratio to 7/9. So it's just this. I'm going to multiply both by 2, and you get 14/18. That's it. That's an equivalent ratio. Write the ratio 3 gallons to 10 quarts as a fraction in simplest form. So 3 gallons to 10 quarts. So you can't simplify this because 3 divided by 10, it doesn't go into it nicely. So if I change this to 12 quarts, whoops, over 10 quarts, then I have the same unit on top and bottom. So then that would be 6/5. So 6 quarts to 5 quarts. All right, so determine if ratios are equivalent. Change them to decimals and compare. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So write down in your notes this right here. Are these ratios equivalent or not equivalent? So I want you to write down 15 to 16 and 195 to 208. So what you're going to do is decide if those are equivalent. So you take out your calculator. So here's a calculator. You may use a calculator on this. So now I'm going to take the first number, which is 15, and I'm going to divide it by the second number, which is 16. So hit 15 divided by 16 and hit equals. That equals 0.93. Okay, so I know that is 93%, or a decimal, 93 hundredths. So then use your calculator and do this. 195 divided by 208 and hit equals. So this one is 0.9375. Now, I didn't write enough units on this first one, so I need to go back and redo it so that I can go a little bit farther. So it's 0.9375. So now what do you see? Well, you should notice that they're the exact same when you do it. So they are equivalent. So you would write, yes, they are equivalent. And you would not be able to tell that by looking at 15 to 16 and 195 to 208. That's pretty difficult. So you have to get them into something that they can compare. Okay, so try on your own. So we have 7 to 3 and 128 to 54. And then we have 61 to 3 and 30.5 to 35. So try these and then come back and we'll go over. Okay, so you should have your calculator out. Let me grab mine. Okay, I am going to do 7 over 3 and what that equals, and then I'm going to do 128 over 54 and get what that equals. So 7 divided by 3 equals 2.3 repeating, and then 128 divided by 54 equals 2.37. So these are not equivalent, not equal. Here I'm going to do 6.1 divided by 3, and then I'm going to do 30.5 divided by 35. So 6.1, hit the division sign, divided by 3 equals 2.03 with just the 3 is repeating. And then do 30.5 divided by 35, and that equals 0.87. So these are not equivalent. Okay, so that's it for your notes.